David Fafita is seriously unstoppable. Like, imagine trying to tackle that bloke. Seriously. Anyway, guys, welcome back to the channel. Here we are. Hope you had a great Saturday and hope all your players scored well. We're going to start with our Titans and our Knights game. And Dave Fafita, 3 tries for 104 points. So, first time for the 100 club for him, I believe. We'll have to check that one, but amazing way. Just did everything. Obviously, you're going to get 3 tries as a second row. You're going to absolutely kill it. But 26 tackles, 3 misses, 8 tackle breaks, 170 metres. Just incredible work from him. And if you don't have him, I think he's definitely a must-have at this stage, averaging just under 80 now with a low score of 60. He will be up over 860, 870 after this week. So that puts him into that 70 average kind of bracket, getting up closer to that, so just under. And he's someone that I expect to be averaging 65 to 70 across the season fairly comfortably if he stays healthy. So for Fafita, I think he's a must-have at this stage. If you don't have him, please try and get him, but don't trade a keeper to get him. You know, if there's someone that's averaging mid-50s, try and get him another way. There's a bunch of these cash cows at the moment that are getting close to their peak, you know, that 500, 600k range, and maybe you can upgrade one of them and downgrade another over these next few weeks when possibly some more cash cows pop up. But that's for Fafita. Amazing work for him. And if you picked up Tyrone Peachey last week, like a lot of people did, you'll be very happy with his output this week. So to pick up a 2-week average of around 55, you'd be very happy with that. And managed to get the whole 80 minutes over this game. And I believe there was an injury at the start of the game to Philip Sammy, which possibly got him the 80 minutes. And he didn't actually move out to the centres. He actually just still played through the middle. So, yeah, and chimed in. He just seems to chime up in all different spots. So for him to get 80 minutes was amazing work. Obviously got a try assist, line break assist there, 190 metres gained, which is going to give him some tackle busts, etc. as well. So, you know, a really good game for him. Only one demerit. You know, even a couple of forced dropouts as well. So awesome work if you have him in the centres. Good pickup. Fogs, here he is. He's back. 7 points last week. Didn't even have to play the full game this week. He's like, nah, I'll take my rest. Play me 70 minutes. I got enough points. I got 66. I'm happy. But not one demerit this week was awesome. So obviously 5 goals across that game, and was absolutely smashing at the start, and then missed one and caused him to miss a couple. But really good efforts for him. Try assist, still no tries and anything, so you can expect eventually he might pick up a try or two and run a little bit more to the line, but didn't have to as much in this game as, you know, getting it out early ball to the centers, etc. was the way to go. But awesome game for him, and he's a really cool option for people that look at him. He's 614k. He's going to be sitting at that again this week. You know, with his break even, with I believe a 71. So someone that you would be looking to target if you needed a half at this stage, but obviously there's a shite load of halves out there at the moment. Callum Ponga comes back and picks up a 60, so a little cheeky try at the end, but looked pretty close to his normal self. Obviously, the Knights struggled a fair bit in, you know, getting smashed. Was it 42-16? So for him, it was, you know, he didn't have as many opportunities off the back of his forward pack. So for him to score 60 in that first game was really, really good. And he's going to be a target for a lot of people at that 804k, because that's exactly what he would be needing to score at that 60 average. So clear top 3 to 4 fullback in the game, and we'll be looking to target him at some point. Thompson comes out and scores well again, averaging 52 for the season, 59 in this game, couple of tries. Only 4 tackle breaks this week, but 230 metres was awesome work for him. So well done if you have Thompson, but I wouldn't be trying to pick him up as an option. We just feel all those gun fullbacks, and if he happens to not score as many tries as he has been, then he won't do as well in the scoring. So think about that with him. Jaden Brayley with 58. So this is kind of one of those games that, you know, we're looking around his base now in the 50s, and did get a try assist, but, you know, the standard 50 tackles and 2 misses, but only 30 metres gained. So no kicks at dummy half and all that sort of stuff as well. So kind of a base game for Brayley, and you take that, he's still averaging 74, which is crazy. And what I was talking about earlier is they were getting a fair bit of early ball out to Herbert and Kelly. So they both picked up a 52 and a 48, which was really cool. So a couple of tries to Herbert in clearly his best game of the season, and a welcome back to Kelly. So did get 2 try assists and a try saver to get 48, but no tries in there to pick up that score, which was really good. 3 offloads and a tackle break. So he's someone that also you can look to target in the center position. as possibly a cut price keeper, especially if the Titans start going well. So if you held out, selling him when he first went down, then you got the spoils there with a 48, which was good. Brimson with 49. Again, no tries, but a line break and a try assist, 220 meters, 3 tackle breaks, and a try saver for his 49. So again, I still think people are gonna be tempted to look to pick him up over the next bunch of weeks. So if you've got him, please keep holding him for now. I know he's kind of burnt you at the start, but there's no point in trading someone that's done that if there's a chance that people are going to start picking him up and him doing well there. So something to think about with him. Rain, Proctor, Frizzell, another 40. So someone that had an incredible first 3 games, averaging 67. So then get a couple of 40s in a row, which drops his average right down, and a bunch of people would have picked him up, I'd imagine, over that period. So, but for them, for him, only 29 tackles in a game where they were defending a lot is pretty low. When Brayley's still making 50 and Frizzell's only 29, it's a bit low, and he obviously missed a couple of tackles on Fafita this week. Did anyone see that one where Fafita basically they're just banging at each other like that and bumped him straight off? It's just like how big Frizzell is. Fafita's just another beast in itself. It's crazy. But he's slightly worrying signs. You could probably hold him on for another week, but if he picks up 340s in a row and doesn't look like improving, then it's a hard one with him. That's the thing with these edge forwards, that their kind of base is around that 40, 45, and then when they get the attacking stats, it bumps right up. So something to think about with those types of players. If you're looking to bring them in, I still think the same thing as previous years, stands true. Is the middles are always going to get the majority of the run meters, the majority of the tackles, and be the safest options. You can pick up the guys like Fafita and stuff who are that like top tier on the edge, like Fafita, Crichton, those types of guys. But the ones that are on the fringes and around that 50-ish point scorers, a bunch of times you might pick them up at the wrong time, and they have a bit of a run of no attacking stats games, and that kills them. Which is what we see with Barnett here at 38. So for me, he's also someone who you should be worried about a little bit. Ponga kicked goals fairly well. They looked actually pretty solid compared to last year, especially. So I'd imagine with having a shoulder issue, he'd be doing a lot of kicking work. So he's looked like he's completely taken over that, and Barnett's lost that now. And I feel like for him, he definitely needs those attacking stats, whether the goals or the tries in that position. So he's a worry. Obviously, ask me about him during the week. But if you can move Barnett to a Fafita, for example, I'd be completely happy with that. Connor Watson, 37 in the 6 role. So unfortunately, just didn't get to do as much as he normally would. And obviously, they got smashed a bit. So their forwards weren't smashing it, which meant he could get out and run from dummy half or get on the back of some offloads and stuff like that. So we're in previous games where he's got those extra tackle busts, and then obviously 25 tackles here for 4 misses. He was on that same side that of Fafita's, so missed a few on him as well. But when he hopefully goes back to the middle, he can move back into those 50 to 55 point games and do well for his side. So I wouldn't be worried about Watson at this stage. Blake Green, a few people talked about as possibly being an option with Pearce being out, but 36 to 40 is going to be his kind of standard. Obviously, if they have a better game, he might score a little bit more, but not to be this one. Clemmer with 35 in 61 minutes, so a little bit annoying if you have him, but you're definitely going to hold him. Obviously, it's just a strange game for all of these guys. Randall went off early, and these guys on the bench, Jones, King, just aren't going to score enough, I don't think. This might be their kind of their normal game, 29, 28, 25, that kind of stuff, and won't be able to make you enough money in this squad. Mo Footawake had a low one, 48 minutes for 29, so and kind of a lot of his runs were just straight into the defence and not much footwork and stuff like that, for only 1 tackle break, one offload, and didn't have to tackle as much, obviously. Tino's our last one. That's unfortunate. If you have him, you do have a 2-round average of 50. So think about that after he's 80 and he's 22. So, but it definitely does look like that was a fluke. He's still got 65 minutes this game, which is more than he has been, apart from last game, and still didn't even get close to a half decent score. With only, obviously they were attacking, so less tackles, 19 and 100 meters, and just didn't look damaging in this one, even though they smashed him, which you would have thought someone like him would have got some extra attacking work. But I definitely think you could hold him for a week or two and see if he can pick up a 70 or 80 again. But when it's 1 out of 5 games and the rest of them is the highest score of 45, for someone you're looking to average somewhere in the 50s, it's just probably not good enough at this stage, and you'd have to look to sell him, unfortunately. But that's that game, guys. If you're enjoying these, please hit like. If you're new, hit subscribe. I really appreciate all the love and support so far. We'll move on to the Dogs and the Storm. And this one here, we've got George Jennings up top, surprisingly. Definitely not an option. I don't think you should bring him in. This 72 brings up his average of what he was before at 30 to that, so let's leave him out. But a bunch of people captain Pap, and you not a bad effort if you captain him at 70. You're happy with what he produced, but try 8 goals, try assists, 2 line breaks, 200 meters, only 3 tackle breaks. That's probably where you could have got the 80 or 90 score. But the real one we want to talk about is the great man Christian Welch. 2 weeks in a row, 52 and 68. Look at that. 60-point average in 2 games. For those that sold him, unfortunate. Lucky for me, I did keep him. But I suppose with these kind of guys, you got to look at what, the first few games were okay. Has one bad game, and it's like, let's have a look back at some of his stats from last year when he was playing like 50 to 60 minutes. They were very solid, around that 50 to 55 points a game. Get the odd random try, and then that's what he got in this game. So without that try, and we'll give him the 2 tackle breaks for the try, he sits at a 50. So we're taking those 50s every day of the week. Looks like he's looking to offload the ball a bit more, which is good. 5 last week and 3 this week. So if you have him, awesome work. Keep hold of him. Should start making a little bit of cash, but just those points are so valuable at this stage. Obviously, it's helped me into a good rank this week. But unfortunate, I don't have Averillo at this stage, but he had a massive game, 63 points. A nice try assist from Adam Elliott on the inside there, got him the try, but cheeky line break in there, and just no real demerits. Only the 1 error in that entire game, and actually ran the ball 88 meters. So you're really happy with exactly what he's put out there, and will start making some cash now, and might be a viable player in the centers, especially when you can get 63 against the Storm. So I wouldn't be expecting that every week, but somewhere in the 30s would be solid enough. Now that he's had a bunch of games this year in that position, and it looks like he should keep that spot now anyway. Flanagan was 62. Solid game for him, averaging 57. So he's averaging above what he was priced at the start of the year. So even though the Dogs have been terrible, he's obviously the floor general, and has 30 tackles a game and 430 kick meters as a base of 50, and then whatever attacking stats from there with the goals and whatever, it works perfectly for him. So not an option, but if you have him, sweet. Luke Thompson, 60 in his 50 minutes back. So I got a try pretty early in the game and just had no demerit. So 23 tackles, 3 busts, 140 meters at 583k. You're wanting him to average somewhere in the 50 plus range, and I'm not sure if he can do that at this stage. 50 minutes I'd expect to be pretty normal for him. For him to become a keeper, I'd be waiting for him to get 65, 70, that kind of minute range. And if he can do that, I think he'll be a keeper, because he has the work rate and the strength, to bust some tackles and do well. So something to think about there. Adam Elliott comes back with the 55 with a nice try assist there, and did a bit of everything again. A couple of turnover tackles, 1 tackle break, 3 offloads. 80 meters was a little bit low, and the tackles were low. So for him to get 55 in that high scoring game is really good, and look to keep him definitely. Cammy Munster with one of his lowest scores of the year is 49. 2 try assists, 2 tackle breaks, 5 missed tackles was kind of his annoying one, and didn't have to kick too much. But again, if you're someone that's not directly involved with a lot of these tries, then your stats are going to be deflated just because of the amount of stoppages in play. So for Munster, 49, you would have hoped that he went bonkers against Bulldogs, but he tends to play a lot better and score a lot better against the better sides, because he has to step up. Whereas this one, he can just spread it out to the edges and do his thing there, or go through the guys in the middle. Brandon Smith was very active. Grant was active out dummy half, going through Kamakamika, Welch, Nelson, these types of guys going through the middle. So there you go. Raymond Smith comes back with another decent game. And if you held him if you've got him as cover, beautiful. I think you just keep him that way. I wouldn't be bringing him in at all. Harry Grant with the 44. So it's going to drop his price a little bit, which is cool. But when he gets back into the starting side, will we expect 80 minutes? I think we will. Might not be next week, but definitely the week after and following weeks from there. But he looked good. It's good to see him back. Just for some very standard stats. Got a try assist to Welchie in there. Kenny Brom, Olam 43. Got to try. A couple of turnover tackles again. He tackles hard, doesn't he? But if you picked him up in the centers this year, you've made almost 100k and an average of 44. So you hold that and you're happy with that, definitely. Josh Jackson 40. So yeah, another one of those guys that just had a few inflated games at the start of the year, and now he's going back to his normal average in the middle or on an edge, from previous years. So that's something to think about with Jackson as to where he's at. Hughes with 37. So turns out he's probably not going to be a keeper this year. Average of 45 is not good enough in the half. So there's a lot of guys that you could trade down to if you need to with that one. All right, Smithy. Smithy's definitely a sell now. He's scored what he needed to. You probably would have hoped for a few better games, but if you didn't sell him last week, then you got to sell him this week. He'll go back into the middle and play that sort of 45, 50 minutes and not be as relevant, unfortunately. So that's it for Smithy. Torpenny, 30, got 35 minutes. So probably a few more minutes than I would have thought, but that PBM of 0.9 that we were talking about came into fruition. And he did well there, and he should make some cash for those that picked him up. So I wouldn't be looking to pick him up now. Last week was the one to get him. Corey Allen with another beautiful score of 24, and Kotrick has just gone from possible keeper to absolute dud, unfortunately. Going back to some of the it was a year there at Raiders where he had some very low scores on a regular basis. So I think there's a few people that picked him up after the first or second week. So I feel sorry for you guys, but that's that game there. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Dogs finally scored a point, let alone 3 tries against the Storm was good for them. But who knows how much the Storm are trying to defend. Anyway, Roosters and Sharks, and this was the game of the halves. That's for sure. Hutchison, Townsend, and Sam Walker in there all had really good games of actual footy and did well there. And Hutchison, I feel like, is a very interesting option. It just depends who's going to get the number 7 role going forward. Are they going to stick with these two guys? Is Lamb going to get his spot straight back? Like, how's it going to work? That's what's kind of scaring me with Hutchison, because he's doing a lot of the kick meters, and had a nice try, a nice dummy, and go through the line there, and the rest of his game's pretty solid too. He's running the ball a bit, he's making the tackles, so for him, really solid efforts, and at 450 odd K, which is what he's going to end up being, it's going to be an interesting thought this week, and I'll have a few questions, I imagine, on that one. Chatty Townsend at 584K, he's going to be up at like 650 after this, and almost 200K price rise. God, he's upsetting me that I didn't start with him. I started with Lamb instead. Whew. Anyway, 3 goals. Like, this base, 30 tackles, 31 and points in kick meters, so 61 points just there. Crazy. It's like that. It's like what DC is doing at the moment. Like, he doesn't have to do too much, but the base is so high, like crazy. If anyone doesn't have Crichton, his percentage is still really low. I think he's like mid-20s ownership percentage, which is, I think, just crazy to me. We definitely thought he'd be averaging at least in the mid-60s, and those 2 games in a row he's got 70 and 67 without really too much in attacking stats. For example, 40 tackles, turnover tackle, 160 meters, 5 tackle breaks. It's just what Gus is going to do on the edge there for the Roosters. So awesome work. Brett Morris scored 2 tries again. This is getting ridiculous. Is that 9 for the year? Almost 2 a game now. Incredible. 64, averaging 68 over the first 5 games. Like, if you picked him up, you made plenty of cash and scoring really well in your wing fullback there. Talke Aho at 57. Still a bunch of people are looking to trade him out. He's averaging 52. It's above what he's priced at. So that sets him about 20K, 30K undervalued. So you've at least got that there. And if he has a bunch of bad games from there, you can trade him on. But I think he's definitely a hold at this stage. Sammy Walker, 3 try assists and a try. So really stepped up this game. And the first game was just settling in, doing what he needed to do. And this one he was really low for a long time. He's about 10 points it was 10 and a half, I think, 11 and a half. A little bit slow the first 10 minutes, and then kind of exploded with a few try assists in the try. So well done to Walker, and some big price rises for those that have him. Kennedy, awesome work again, averaging 44, which is crazy. Teague Wilton, Nakora comes back, so don't think about picking him up. But if you did at the start when he first played, you've gained about 100K. So well done to that. But that's what's going to happen this next game. Jesse Ramian, I got asked about my thoughts on him. So averaging 40 over his few games that he's played, and And he's definitely a solid option in that centres, and he's kind of been around that keeper territory. I just think he's slightly underneath those guys in terms of keeper status. So that's all I would say at this stage. 450 or whatever he's going to be after this week. I think there's some other options in there in some better teams that should do a little bit better. But yeah, a decent option if you enjoy watching him play, for example. Teddy with 44, so his lowest game of the year. Just didn't do a lot. Only 5 tackle breaks and a line break there. So for him, yeah, it's normal, right? These wing fullbacks that have big games and then little games, Teddy at 44, it's obviously annoying, but it is what it is, unfortunately, and don't be trading him out. Victor Radley at 43. Okay, so let's have a look at this. He's played 60 minutes over the first 2 games, and that's really, really helpful. For him, you're wanting him to play around that 60 minutes for him to do really well. And we look at this, we got 35 tackles and 96 meters with only 1 tackle break. He's got a penalty conceded and a missed tackle there. So just not a lot happening. And for him at 518k, this is what he's priced at, that 43, 44 kind of range. And what you're looking for him is for some attacking stats and to really warm into the season. And I think that he'll start doing well. But I wouldn't be picking him up at this stage. I think you can wait on him. But I think there's definitely a chance that he can average around that 50 to 53 mark eventually, just not at this stage, at the moment. Who else we got? Morris, Butcher, Joey Manu. So Manu's in my team, and just not much in this game. Only 67 run meters, a couple of turnover tackles, which was great, and 3 tackle breaks in that time, and happy with his 20 tackles. I think he picked up 2 misses at the end, but he was sitting at 41 for like the last 10 minutes and then lost 4. So for him, when attacking, this is his base, happy days, and attacking stats come, he gets the 50s, 60s, and he's your keeper in the centres. So always going to be a solid option there. Didn't go as well as someone like Peachy, for example, but it is what it is with him. Blake Brayley's just stinking it up, unfortunately. Tupanua, all right. Are people thinking about selling him? I think they are. 48 minutes. He needs his 80, obviously, for him to be a good option. I'm quite happy if you want to go up to a Fafita or something like that, because he's not going to be a keeper. And we're not sure what's going to happen with Cordner, but you'd imagine that Tupanua moves out of that spot for Cordner, and Crichton will move back to the right, for example. But for him, you can hold him if he's come back in the starting side, but that switch to the bench was a bit annoying. Connor Tracy had people talking about him, but on the bench he's not going to do enough. Billy Magulius. Moylan comes back down to earth with a 21, so he's probably close to a sell now, but you can keep him as cover for half and wing fullback if you need. And then Freddie Lussick was very unfortunate. A bunch of people were thinking about picking him up as a cash cow, and he was going to do fine in that 60-minute kind of game time, but unfortunately got injured, hurt his arm. Not sure as to the extent of it, but doesn't look amazing at this stage. But there you go. So that's the 3 games for Saturday, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you've managed to stay until the end, and I really appreciate all the support. As I said, good luck with your Sunday games. Who's looking for 1100? I am. I'm at 975 with 3 to play. So let's see how we go, guys. But I hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you in the next one.